Now, a dire post-Brexit shortage of lorry drivers has induced chaos through British supply chains. Everything from food to fuel has been impacted by these disruptions. Fears over tanker driver shortages have led to panic buying, leaving many of the country's pumps dry. Britain has now put the army on standby to help with the ongoing fuel crisis, announcing further measures to help ease supply chain pressures. Now, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy has said in a statement that the limited number of military tanker drivers will be put on a state of readiness and deployed, if necessary, to further stabilize fuel supply chain. The military drivers will receive specialized training before deploying if the crisis does not ease in the coming days. Panic buying has deepened a supply chain crisis triggered by a shortage of truckers, and now up to 90% of the British fuel stations are running dry across major English cities. Retailers are warning that the situation could batter the world's fifth largest economy. This as desperate motorists queued up at fuel pumps across Britain with draining tanks. Medical bodies have already said some healthcare staff have struggled to get to work, while schools have warned that online teaching could resume if teachers are unable to reach their classrooms. The agitation has prompted calls for the government to use emergency powers to give priority access to healthcare and other essential workers. Now, there is no respite from the long queues outside filling stations yet, as access to the fuel remains a massive worry for most of the Britons. Drivers have been queuing for hours to fill their cars at petrol stations that were still selling fuel, albeit often rationed. At other stations, pumps were either closed or had signs saying that the fuel was unavailable. One cab driver searched 9 fuel stations over the weekend before finding one open and queued for over an hour to fill up.
The last 24 hours has been 3 hours yesterday of driving around with limited fuel trying to find some. I eventually did at the 9th attempt, but I had to queue for nearly an hour and a half to get some, which means that I'm okay for the next day or so, but then it's going to be completely out of my hands. If I can't get anything, then the cab's going to be parked up. People that need fuel need fuel. There's a lot of people out there that don't need fuel and are taking it, and that's causing a knock-on effect to the problem. But an essential users list is what's needed so that the garages can prioritise, and we definitely need to be on that so that we can continue to do our job.
And now, Britain's departure from the European Union in January saw many foreign truckers leave the country. The shortage has led to empty supermarket shelves and raised the fears about deliveries of food and toys for Christmas. Critics have blamed UK government's inaction on tackling shortages of lorry drivers during Brexit. British government campaigned for an end to the European free movement, and it is now banking on a short-term visa waiver to plug the gap in drivers. The government has already made a drastic U-turn on the tighter post-Brexit immigration policies. Short-term visa waivers have been offered to foreign truckers to help plug the shortfall. Up to 10,500 temporary work visas will be issued to lorry drivers and poultry workers from the next month to December 24th. Many have called the move too little too late to avert food shortages. And for more on this, our London bureau chief Mandy Clark has sent us this report.
At least here, the panic buying seems to have subsided, but that could be down to the fact that many people are at work, and it could pick up again after 5 p.m. Now, the government has no plans to bring soldiers to deliver the petrol. However, the Ministry of Defence will be helping to train lorry drivers to meet industry shortages. And those earlier reports that the Prime Minister was considering army assistance at petrol stations have been dismissed. Now, politicians are urging motorists to stop panic buying petrol, saying there is no shortage of fuel. And there has been some shortage of heavy goods drivers, that's known as HGV drivers, and they need a different license from the regular driver's license. And that has been the issue. But some blame Brexit for many of those drivers who were European Union citizens returning home. Now, the government is planning to offer visas to entice them back, and the government is hoping the crisis will subside within the week, but firmly blame motorists for the panic that created the issue in the first place. Mandy Clark, World is One, WION, London.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.